It seems like each year manufacturers release a new type of bike. Each one ever so slightly more specific for a ever so slightly more specific type of riding or surface. But ultimately doing a fairly similar job, which begs the question, do you really need multiple bikes? Or can one bike and two sets of wheels do everything that you need? Well, that's exactly what we're going to find out. All right. Now, a while back, myself and Ollie made a video to see if fitting gravel tyres to a road bike was a good idea. And, well, from that, we came to this conclusion.
There's a third option, though.
Yeah?
Right? What about if you can only have one bike, you get a gravel bike, and then put road tyres on it?
And here I am, armed with two sets of wheels, thanks to Reynolds, to see if life on one bike and four wheels is a good idea. I'm also going to discuss the practicalities of using two wheel sets and where the advantages lie. But why am I making this video, you might ask? Well, many of us will have just one bike, and perhaps sometimes we want to ride on the road and sometimes we ride off-road. I mean, we could just use road or gravel tyres, but what if you don't want to be compromised on either surface in terms of grip, speed and bike control? Do you spend 20 minutes changing your tyres before every single ride, or do you get two wheel sets, one road and one gravel? While I'm riding my gravel bike today, I could just as easily be using a road bike with clearance for wider tyres. However, if I was using a road bike, I would be more limited by my tyre choice. But I'll dive into tyre choice and rim widths in just a minute. As my gravel wheels today, I've got the Black Label G Series Pros. These are Reynolds' most robust and adventure-ready gravel wheel set. They're 26mm deep, weigh 1,357 grams, and fitted to these, I've got some 40mm wide gravel tyres set up tubeless and a super wide range gravel cassette. And then as my road wheel set for today, I've got these. The AR41s, which sit at the more affordable end of Reynolds' wheel lineup. They are 41mm deep, they use a hooked carbon rim and weigh 1,630 grams. And just like many road wheels that are out there, you're not just limited to using these on the road. And they're of course fitted with some 28mm wide tubeless road tyres and a road cassette. And I'll look at the wheel sets in greater detail later on. And I've also got a short test loop lined up where I've got a mix of surfaces and a mix of gradients where I can compare the road wheel set to the gravel wheel set in terms of speed. But I'm interested in far more than just speed in this video. So first up, let's take a closer look at rim widths and tyre choice. In general terms, a gravel wheel set will use a wider internal rim width to account for the fact that you're generally going to be using a wider tyre. Now the AR41 wheel set, which is our road wheel set for the day, has a 21mm internal rim width, which is actually quite wide by road wheel standards, and it means that you can run tyres from 28mm wide all the way up to 50mm wide. Whereas our G Series wheels, our gravel wheels for the day, these have a 25mm internal rim width, which means you can run tyres from 38mm wide all the way up to 52. Now, whilst you could run pretty much any road or gravel tyre on the AR41 wheels, you're not going to be able to do that on the G Series wheels with their super wide rims. You're going to be able to run gravel tyres, but you're only really going to be able to use the widest of road tyres out there. And if you do want to run some 50 or 52mm wide big boy tyres, then you're going to need to make sure you've got the frame clearance to suit that. And when it comes to your tyres, as I've said about 1,000,000 times before, your tyres combined with your wheels are one of the most effective and easy ways to upgrade and change the characteristics of your bike. However, you don't have to be an expert to realise that a road setup and a gravel setup are each going to excel on the surface that they're intended to be ridden on. But I think it's fair to say, anywhere you can ride a road setup, you can without a doubt ride a gravel setup, whereas the same can't be said the other way around. But how are the wheels going to stack up against each other when we combine the two surfaces, gravel and the road? Well, don't worry, I'll get to that in just a minute. But before that, I think we need to discuss what I consider are some of the most important aspects: cost and practicality. And when it comes to this, you've got 4 pretty clear options.
Option 1, stick to the setup that you have and accept that your bike is going to be slightly compromised depending on the surface that you ride on. Option 2, change your tyres depending on the type of riding that you're going to do. This is clearly going to take you an extra bit of time and be quite a pain in the arse. Option 3, the setup that I've got here. You have 2 different sets of wheels, one road and one gravel, and switch between them depending on the riding you plan to do. And then finally, option 4, clearly the most expensive option. You have 2 different bikes, one dedicated to the road and one dedicated to the gravel.
So that covers off what I feel are the most important aspects to discuss. So next, let's take a closer look at how these 2 wheel setups differ. Starting with these, the AR41s, which use the exact same carbon rim as Reynolds' ARX range of wheels, which sit an entire tier higher up in their road lineup. However, the ARs are built up into a slightly more affordable package. They use Sapim sprint spokes and brass nipples, which are actually kind of rare to see on wheels these days, but are super durable and resistant to corrosion. Whereas these are the Black Label G Series 700 Pro wheels. They sit at the top tier of Reynolds' most robust and durable gravel wheel set. They feature a carbon rim, which, as I mentioned earlier, is hookless, a technology which lends itself to using wider tyres at a lower pressure. These carbon rims also feature something called an impact dispersing matrix to make them even more robust. This is a technology taken from Reynolds' World Cup downhill wheels, which, let's face it, take far more abuse than even the most extreme of gravel rides. The hubs are a Reynolds / Industry 9 affair. They feature a 3-pull ratchet mechanism with 6 degrees of engagement. The spokes are Sapim CX, and we've got alloy spoke nipples. Now I have the pricing up on screen in multiple currencies, and in terms of the wheel's overall weight, when you compare the road setup to the gravel setup, factoring in the tyres, the cassette and the rotors, they're actually coming out as fairly comparable weights. Right, I've put it off for long enough. I better get on and actually do these test loops soon. Right, where's my bike helmet? There we go.
While I get on doing the riding, let me show you my test lap. It's 10 kilometers long and has almost 3 kilometers of gravel path, with a road climb to start and a road section to finish. Nothing too extreme, and because watching me ride around, it's not all that thrilling, I'm able to use the power of video editing to leap forwards in time and show you this awesome graphic overlay, which really highlights the difference between the 2 setups. For the initial climb, we can see the road wheels edge a small lead, only to be gradually passed again on the gravel sector by the gravel setup and into a small lead. But on the final road section, it's fairly even on our descent, but along the undulating road to finish is where you can see the road setup has gained a sizable lead.
Oh, how cool was that? It also means I've managed to get changed, showered, warm, dry, and make it back to GCN Megabase to wrap this thing all up. So overall, my simple test showed that the road setup was the fastest by 37 seconds. Now, if I break that times down, that means that over the climb, that was the first part of the test, I've gone 5 seconds faster on the road setup, and then on the gravel section, 7 seconds faster on the gravel setup. No surprise there. And then on the final road sector, I went 39 seconds faster on the road setup. But hey, speed isn't everything. And I do feel that with using 2 sets of wheels, it does genuinely open up all of the different options for the types of terrain that you can ride on without having the added expense of buying a second bike or the hassle of changing your tires every time you want to ride. I mean, sure, if you have the money to spend on a second bike, be that a road bike or a gravel bike, then go for it, fill your boots. But for far less money, I feel that you can get almost the same experience by just using 2 sets of wheels. But I must stress, if you are gonna try and do this kind of setup with a road bike, you're going to be kind of slightly limited in terms of the tyres that you can use on your wheels due to the clearance of the frame and how sort of extreme your gravel adventures could be, because quite simply a road bike just isn't as robust as a gravel bike. And I think it kind of goes without saying that if you just want to dip your toe into a little bit of smooth gravel now and again, using your road bike and road tyres is going to be more than perfectly fine. So there you have it. I think 2 wheel sets and 1 bike is a good idea. Hope you guys at home have enjoyed this video and found it really informative and helpful. If you have, please give it a big thumbs up and let me know what you thought of it in the comments section down below. And also, I've got a really helpful maintenance video out on the GCN Tech channel a few days ago showing you how to set up the second set of wheels for your bike. So go and check that out if you're thinking of going along these lines. Right, I'm out of here. See you later.